Welcome to the greatest college queen captains in existence. I'm here with the boy Raytron. It's your boy Vanguard, strongest man in the universe. And today we're going to be talking about the Rippaverse because now Eric July published his comic book. He created Rippaverse Publishing, and overnight, it's like I remember there's another YouTuber who said this. It's like overnight, a cottage industry erupted over hating Eric July, and it was insane. Like literally, almost immediately they were like, well, not almost immediately. I'm not gonna say that, but like as he started to get more and more successful, it's like more and more haters would come out the woodwork to the point that there's a puppet show where it's like it has puppets and the whole thing is like making fun of Eric
Are
July,
you dead
and it's like,
ass? Like, is it an
yeah, yeah,
actual puppet show? Like, someone made
yeah,
puppets to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was called the Rip-Off Verse, and then now they kind of yeah, and
That's
yeah.
so goofy.
So here, my boy Raytron, he likes comics. He's read comics for a while. He's more of a fan of manga, but what are manga but Japanese comics, right?
Exactly. They are
Um,
literally just comics. I
yeah,
don't make
yeah,
that distinction. Hate me in the comments. Please talk all that cock on the comments. Go ahead, do it. They the same shit.
So
Same shit.
the thing is, I mean, people would praise you for like because manga, like people who hate the mainstream comic book industry, they love manga, and they're always pointing out how manga outsells. Oh no, I'm not gonna say they love manga, but they're always using manga as an example of how the industry isn't just in a downturn. And when people try to use that bullshit excuse, they're like, no, it's just that you're making things people don't care about.
It's
They're like,
true.
it's
It
that
is
simple.
true. You are just
Yeah,
making things
yeah,
people don't care about. And I'm not even saying manga is full of like bangers. There's a bunch of garbage out there.
yeah,
Garbage. Ah, man, I was in the trenches back when I was a teenager, reading any and everything. I was like, yo, this is trash.
yeah. But thankfully, Ray is not as deeply entrenched into the strange online communities that I've been in since I was a teenager.
Yeah,
He's been in
I agree
a
with
whole
that.
nother set of strange
Nope,
communities.
nope,
But
nope. I never fucked with that shit, bro. I was never sitting on no forum. I never made no accounts on none of these websites, bro. I don't have
yeah,
none of that shit.
yeah. Well, I had some. I had some. I'd see some. So like I knew about things like I knew about Gamergate when it was happening, mainly because but I didn't know about it because of games. I knew about it because, like I said, the
It was
weird
big. It was a big thing.
communities I was in. Yeah. And then later, Comicsgate happened, and it was pretty much the same thing. Weirdos coming into an industry and taking it over, and then trying to ruin it to prove a point, and then backpedaling and gaslighting people to act like that's not what they did. When it's crazy because they will admit what they're doing, and then a year later try to make you seem like you're crazy. Like, but what about this Twitter post where you literally said you're here to get rid of all the sexist trends in whatever industry? They're like, you're just making things up. You're just seeing things where they. I'm like, what the
Bro,
fuck?
say what you want, but Twitter objectively just being a whole public receipt depository, it's just like,
Yeah,
oh, you didn't say that? Then what's this?
yeah. You just pull up the bullshit. TikTok too. Remember the girl who was talking about white people and saying how much she hated them,
It's like,
and they pulled up her
what's
TikToks.
this?
Yeah, her
Look,
TikToks of her praising her white boyfriend.
people are
Oh,
goofy. People are
yeah,
hypocrites. Don't believe everything you
yeah.
hear on the internet. I don't care if it's
So
your
yeah,
favorite. Just don't listen to them.
that happened with the comic book industry, of course, and then these weirdos came. They drained it of any vitality it had left. It already had very little, and they came and drained it of all it had. Eric July used to make content, bemoaning comic books and talking about how much they suck now. Like, and he didn't only do that. Like, it's not like he was just a completely negative person. When he found stories that he thought was good, he would talk about how, oh wow, this story is really good, yada yada yada. And eventually, he just couldn't do it anymore. He did exactly what I did. And I think we did it around the same time. I was like, I'm tired. I'm tired of reading comics and they suck and then complaining about it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
And
one
then
day I just put down comic books and I just never picked them back up.
yeah, I think I told you that I was not reading them anymore. I remember I said that to you. Like, I don't read comics anymore. I don't even think about them anymore. I'm not looking at comic book websites or forums anymore.
Yeah,
I think for me,
there was
yeah,
literally just a point where I had to stop, and not even like it
yeah,
consumed my life before, but it was like an interest. I would
exactly.
go and like just to see what like kind of things are being written. But then it got to a point where I was like, this is garbage. Just the synopsis is garbage. Why would I go and spend my like $8 a week on garbage?
What I'll say is, like I said, Ray is a casual reader, and as I was reading the Rippaverse comics, I enjoyed them. I thought they were good. I became curious because I would notice a lot of his detractors pointing out things, some like gripes I thought were like, interesting and decent. I became curious. I was like, what would a normal person not entrenched in this sphere of the internet? I was like, what would they think of Eric July's books? So I lent my copy of Isom to Eric, not to Eric July. I gave it back to Eric July. No,
You're like, this is garbage.
I lent my copy of Isom to Ray and asked him to read it, and then I said we can talk about it. So the first thing we'll start with the negatives right out. What would you say you didn't? I don't want to even say didn't like. What would you change about Isom to make it more like? What did you actually? You know what, we'll just keep it simple. What did you not like about Isom?
I feel like we were dropped a little too far into the middle of things. There were definitely instances where I messaged you about it where it wasn't clear that there was like one antagonist and the main character had fought before. Like in that first initial meeting, it seemed like that was their first meeting. And then as we continue the story, they're just casually mentioning, I think his exact words is, "There's not going to be a fourth fight." And I'm thinking, it's like, this is only the second time y'all even fought. How you get to 4? And I literally like stopped reading where I was and I went back. I was like, did I miss a page? Like is he counting like 2 different venues as 2 different fights? And like, it's not like I'm not paying attention to what's going on. Right? Like I'm trying to like be engaged in the story and like pick up everything that's being put down. And that part just wasn't clear to me. And I'm like, in my mind, I was like, oh, they probably just met before. But I just went back to like see if there was other hints about it before right now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find one. So that part kind of took me out. There were some parts where it seemed like it was jumpy. Like he gets thrown out of this like bar. Like he gets like thrown into a car. Next thing I know, he's escaping the hospital. I was like, you're not gonna give me a little more of him being in the hospital, getting admitted, and taken there. Like he was in the hospital. Don't worry about it. He's not in the hospital anymore. I was like, yeah, I get that we keeping the story moving, but like you really just like jumped forward here, and it especially didn't like work well in my opinion because like it was like one of those cuts where they were about to take him to the hospital, and we cut to someone somewhere else, right? And then I was thinking, like, oh, we can use this to show that, like, he is now in the hospital. He got admitted, blah, blah, blah. Nah, they cut to him escaping the hospital. I was like, that's a little too far in the future. Just a little bit. Just a little too far in the future. His sister's whole existence is kind of weird. Because I feel like he does not talk to her like they're siblings. I'm not saying like he talks to her like a former lover or anything. It's just like this annoying person that exists and is now asking me for things, and like
I mean that's how I talk to my sister.
But it's just like it seemed more like she was just she was just used to like move the story forward, right?
Yeah.
Like she shows up to like pick him up after he escapes the hospital, and he was just like, yeah, lucky you knew exactly where I was. I was like, you dead ass, bro? I know it's not exactly what she says, but that's how it felt, you know.
Oh, it's because he had some like thing.
Yeah, he had some bracelet, and it was in that moment we were learning about it. It wasn't like something we knew about before, so it just felt like lucky she happened to be here type shit. Mm-hmm. So and like I don't even think these are necessarily like huge glaring things, because especially like this was man's first comic. Overall, I really did think it was pretty good. These are just like a few things that it's like. They're good ideas, but they weren't fleshed out properly, and I feel like he can learn from it and like correct it.
What would you say were the good things then? The things you enjoyed?
Overall, the overall art style, it felt it felt like a 2010s type of art style. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. It gave me that kind of feel as well.
It was like this is a comic. It wasn't trying too hard to be super hyper realistic or
super artsy
or super anime. I was like, this is a comic book. It feels American. It looks like it's American made type shit stuff. Like I like that. I like that there weren't too many like cheesy one-liners. He it's not like he walked around being like, it's Isom time. Like he didn't do anything stupid like that. A lot of times it was very like, it felt like a lot of conversations that you would actually have. He asked some questions you need to ask. You do kind of get his personality through his actions and his words. Because there was a lot of times where he's like, I don't even care about this no more. This nigga disrespected me. I'm going to beat his ass just because he disrespected me. You know, I was like, that's fair. Because I won't lie. Like, there were certain parts where I was like, why are you doing this? And then he said, I'm only doing this because that nigga disrespected me. And I was like, all right, cool. All right, I'm on board.
Yeah, because people were using that as one of the reasons they hate the comic. They're like, oh, he's not even a real hero.
Man,
and I was like,
them niggas who say that don't even know what a real hero is, bro. Them niggas were saying that probably be like, Batman's not a hero. He's a fucking crazy nigga.
It's funny you mentioned that. Eric July's favorite character is Batman.
See, I'm not even saying Isom is a hero.
I think his favorite character is I think he said it was the Flash, and then it became Batman.
Like, I'm not even saying like I think Isom's a real hero or anything, but like I hate when people be like, he's not a real hero. It's like, bro, you saw him for 5 seconds, and you're trying to decide whether he's a hero or not. Shut the fuck up.
First of all, you're meeting him in the low, like the August years of his career, where he's no longer interested in doing that.
He's done being a hero. Like he's done for it. Like he's doing this as a favor to some family friend. And honestly, even if it is the reason he's like, oh, I got disrespected, he still went out and tried to figure out if that girl was okay. And I know niggas who would have done, they wouldn't have done it even if it didn't involve getting his ass beat. Like, these people who saying all this, if their mama asked them to get some milk from the grocery store, would suck their teeth. Like, I don't want to hear nothing from these types of people, bro.
I did enjoy that he was a little bit of an asshole. I did like that he was like, I enjoyed he was flawed. I like that aspect.
Look, man, he came off as a regular ass guy to me.
Yeah.
Especially since,
yeah.
Nah, that nigga disrespected the fuck out of him.
True.
Because he really showed up and was like, hey, look, man, I just want to know if this one girl was okay. And then he went on to this long thing about how you was supposed to be a big shot on campus. Now you a loser. Get the fuck out my house. I was like, I just asked you if bitch was okay, bro. Like, now we scrapping.
That's how you know that shit was born of envy, that he secretly envies Isom. I hope that's developed. Because that's what I got.
That shit was crazy. Because he definitely knows that nigga used to be a hero. And he's probably mad. He's like, you were a superhero, and now you not.
Maybe.
It felt that way to me. But
and I remember one of my favorite.
And I didn't like the way he was talking about that man's sister. I didn't like that. I don't like that either.
I mean, that's probably what got his. Well, he didn't even get. Isom didn't even get the chance to kick his ass. He kicked everyone else's ass.
You talking about my sister like that, bro? He was talking about his sister like he wanted her. I was like, don't talk about my sister like that.
He probably did.
Don't talk about my sister like that, bro.
One of my favorite parts in the book, there are 2 parts in the book that I liked a lot. The part when the guy put his hand on him, and he was like, what makes you think you could just touch somebody so aggressively? I don't know why.
That was a great thing. He was like, why is everyone's first reaction to grab people aggressively? Because it's true. Why are you doing that?
It's true. It's like,
what are you doing?
But that guy got his ass kicked. You know, at least Isom let him know what he did wrong. He didn't just start beating the shit out of him.
One part I did like is Isom, he's like, hey, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And man chooses the hard way. He looks at him and is like, we got a problem outside. He's like, this nigga chose the hard way.
Or like, remember when another part I loved is when he was beating up all those people. I think this is like at the end of the book, near the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then he yells at the guy to hold the door open. He's like, hey, keep that door open.
Yes, he says, keep that door open. And he's beating people's asses like, hey, I told you to keep it open. The guy's like, I don't listen to you.
That shit killed me. I was like, this man's a menace.
So there's parts like that where it's like, they clearly can have fun and be serious at the same time. Like, I don't know if
Oh,
you know, but Marvel can't do that.
Marvel can't do that. No,
Marvel can't do that. It is either the most morbid, saddest, melancholy shit, or it is slapstick humor. There's no in between.
Yeah, like a movie that did a great job with that balance of like in the superhero field, that balance of like humor and seriousness is the original Punisher movie from the early 2000s. One of my favorite movies ever. I remember there are some funny scenes in that movie, but they're not funny like Kiki. They're more funny in like they're more funny in like the situation. Like when he was
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I guess I need to learn to do the same thing, how to be funny without being slapstick.
Oh my
But
god.
I remember he's fighting this guy, and that whole sequence where he's fighting the Russian, this big strong guy, was just funny as hell because it's just him struggling to stay alive, and he's getting his ass just mollywopped and beaten. And it's very funny because I think they have like fucking opera music playing over it, and he's getting his ass whooped.
Yes.
And even in the later Punisher show, when he fights these guys in the gym, it's funny because like again he's getting his ass kicked and he just starts using the weights to like murder them. It's like the irony of using their own because the guy's like strong as fuck because of those weights. And he's like, okay, well these weights are gonna be your undoing too. um, all right. So one other thing I'll ask you. Well, not one other thing, but one thing I'm interested in. What do you think of the name Isom? The people have been giving it criticism because of that name too. They're like, why is his name Isom?
I don't know why his name's Isom. Um, I didn't really think too hard about why his name's Isom. I was like, maybe I'll find out later.
Yeah.
Cause like I'm not gonna lie, I don't try to put too much thought into people's names.
Well, that's not his real
like,
name.
Yeah. But it's like his hero name, right?
Yeah.
So I try not to put too much thought into people's heroes' names because I don't know if you know, but hero names are dumb.
Yeah.
They're not that smart. Like, for example, Superman. That shit is dumb. Like it was slapping. It was slapping back in the day. But if I came out with a character today and I called him Superman, people would look like they look at me like I was crazy. They look at me like I was crazy. So maybe there is a reason why his name is Isom. I don't know what it is yet. It's at least catchy enough that I remember it. You remember it.
Yeah. I was thinking about that actually. Like the way you say it, Isom. It has this like hardness to the syllables that just makes it, and it looks good in logo. Well, I mean, I guess you can make anything look good in a logo, right?
No, you cannot. No, you can't. There's some bad things.
I'm trying to find this stuff.
I like that it's not it's not like Avenger. It's not something so it's not just a word that is just so very obvious of what it's like Punisher. Like it's just like I'm gonna punish you. Yeah. It's like which like I'm saying like these names slapped back then.
Yeah.
If you came out with these types of names now, people would be like, "Yo, what's wrong with you?" You know?
Yeah, it's funny because I like we were saying. I remember Alan Moore when he wrote Supreme, he was making fun of names like that, and there was a villain because like the whole plot of Supreme is he was in space for most of the 70s and the 80s. So when he comes back to Earth, it's like a whole new thing, and he's been gone for a while. He was a hero in the 60s, so um, he meets this villain, and the villain's like in this giant suit, and the villain says his name is Cyberberserk, and he was like he hates the names that all the villains have now. He was like back in his day, he was like there's a panache, and now all the names are like these one word syllables that are so like obvious and on their face. Like he pretty much said the same thing that you just like when the guy said his name was Cyberberserk.
Like imagine you made a comic today and your villain was Dr. Freeze and he has ice powers.
I make a vigilante and his name is the Fighter.
Who are you? I'm the boxer. Put your hands up. Like it's fun. Like I'm not saying like you can't have names like that. Like, but you know, like it has to match the tone. Like if you were making a silly, goofy type of comic and those were the types of names you picked, it would make sense. Isom makes sense in this sort of more grounded world where like, he's not walking around being like, I'm Metro Man. I'm the hero of the city.
Metro Man. I always liked that name, but at the same time, I always thought it was weird. I was like, what? He named himself City Man. He's like
Yeah.
he's City Boys.
City Boys winning.
But anyways, what I'll say as well is about the name. I think it turns out the name is like Eric's grandfather's name. He decided to use the name, or I think his great grandfather or something, someone that really inspired him. And I guess he thought the name sounded cool, so he decided to use it for a superhero. And the thing that happened with that, right? The
Mm-hmm.
weird ass shit with that is eventually what ended up happening is some of the people who hated on him, the trolls, what they did is they went out of their way because Isom has that cross on his belt,
Mm-hmm.
so everyone's trying to figure out if it's like if it stands for his Christianity, which spoiler, I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna let you figure that out. But they said there's a ministry called Isom, which is like international. Let me see. I forgot what it stood for. There's a company called Isom, like a ministry that exists. Oh, International School of Ministry, right? So these people went out of their way to send the things to that company and say, oh, there's someone using the thing Isom. Maybe you guys should like pursue that, right? So they did. They fucking tried to sue, like they tried to do a cease and desist thing. And Eric July is a very combative guy, so he didn't back down. He made a whole thing about it. Eventually, it was settled, and it didn't happen. Like he didn't end up having to get rid of the name or anything,
That's
because he
actually
was like,
insane. That niggas is that petty. That petty.
mm-hmm.
Over what, really? Because, like, what did he do? He was like, I don't like comic books. I'm going to make my own. That's all he did.
Oh, see, that's the worst part. It's not even like the people who hate him, who actually hate him, like people making the garbage comics, the SJWs and shit, they haven't even gone as far as the
Yeah,
people
yeah,
who are
that's what I'm saying.
supposed
Like,
to be in the
these
same.
are normal, regular, everyday people who are
Yeah.
so into the garbage that they get that they're just mad someone else who's like, I don't like it. I'm
No,
going to make my own.
no, it's even worse than that, bro. These are the people who are supposedly also in that alternative like stream, right? Because they were like fans of this other guy, Dick Masterson, who makes like various like just weird humor. Like he makes like he's kind of like an asshole. He parodies things, right? Um, they were fans of him, and there was a guy on his show who was making a comic book that no one cares about. Um, so like and it's obviously out of jealousy. Like he's seething. That's why he hates him, right? Because I looked up the comic. It did not look interesting at all. I was like, oh, that's why you're not making any money. This does not look cool. Um, so he hated it and he brought it up, and then eventually, because Dick Masterson is a troll. That's his whole thing. When he saw like troll at first because he didn't think it was like um, something in which he could troll and get the most return out of it, he didn't care. But then he read the book and then he reviewed it and said it was horrible. And then he just spent like months just like targeting Eric July and making video after video about him and all this shit and bringing him up on the show all the time. And then that's how this shit happened. Where obviously it was one of Dick Masterson's people that sent it out. Um, and then it gets weirder than that, bro. So someone went to the warehouse and like because they were trying to like send like super chats and Eric refused to read them, right? So they went to his warehouse and was like writing on writing like they were sending bunnies or some shit, and they were like writing on the dollar bills and pasting on the the warehouse. And Eric July got very mad about that. He said like, oh, this is like a what did he say? He was like, oh, this is like infringing on private property and shit. And then people are like that's not what it is. And but I mean, I would be pissed too, man. Like imagine like in terms of our channel, we have our place of business. And then like let's say I got into an argument with some other YouTuber, and his fans were coming to my warehouse and like writing like things on my wall or some shit or like leaving things for me. I would begin to get angry and probably fear for my safety. Like I'll start to think, how long is it before some psychopath shows up here and like tries to like attack me or shoot me or something? I mean, there's some crazy people out there.
Yeah, no, but I just, overall, it's just like,
Weird.
if I look at it from the outside in, like, say I'm not into comic books at all, I see Eric. He's like, hey, the current comic book state's not what I want it to be. I'm gonna make my own. And then other people who are supposedly fans of the medium are like, damn, that nigga suck. Why? Because he made his own comic book.
Yep. Because they don't like his politics. Yeah.
And it's like, look, man, you don't gotta like his comic books. You don't need to buy them. You know, the same thing that we were all saying about Marvel and DC. If you don't like it, don't buy it. That's it.
That story gets even worse because it looks like they found a gravesite that they assumed was Eric July's grandfather, great-grandfather. Yeah, and they went and took a picture there, bro.
That's just disrespectful. For what? For what? Man, back to the comic book, bro.
Would you read other books from Rippaverse Comics?
I was thinking about it because I wanted to know who Alpha Core was. I was like, what's going on with that?
I got the Alpha Core book.
I was wondering about this weird female villain who just has powers. What's going on with her? Because you know, like, it was very clear that there were other things going on in the background that doesn't necessarily involve this story. And I do like that kind of idea that, like, hey, we all live in this same city and things are going on. Because that always kind of, like, low-key bothered me about something like the Marvel Universe. Because they all live in New York City. Like, at least in DC, it's like, I'm in Metropolis, and I'm in Gotham, and I'm in fucking, where's Flash? Star City?
Central City.
City, right? They're all in different cities. But in Marvel, they're all in New York. They're all in Manhattan. Like, the fucking Baxter building is like 3 blocks down from Stark Tower or some shit. But like, when there's like a threat that's like coming to the city, it's just Iron Man, or it's just the Fantastic Four, it's just Spider-Man. I'm like, why y'all not jumping? Jump them, bro.
Just beat the shit out of him.
Like, yo, you know how stupid it is whenever I see villains do anything in the Marvel Universe in New York City? I'm like, yo, why would I ever walk into Manhattan with any malicious intent? Like, ever. Like, come on, it's dumb.
In superhero universes in general, I always think it's crazy to, like, you're a normal criminal. Like, that's crazy. Like,
like, I ain't robbing no bank on Iron Man's block, bro. You're stupid.
I'm not robbing no bank. In a world where there's a Superman, you're not catching me do no crime. I'm gonna be the most.
No, deadass, bro. Like, I actually did enjoy this one comic where this guy, I think some frog, he has like jumping ability. He's in Gotham, and he literally is talking shit to Batman. He's like, you know why I'm doing this here? Because I tried doing this shit in Metropolis, and before I even got to the car, that nigga Superman had me 30 feet in the air saying, I'm very disappointed in you, son. I'm afraid of you, but I'm terrified of him.
Yes. In general, and then, like, especially in the Marvel Universe, all their heroes are unstable psychopaths. Like, like, they're gonna beat the shit out of me and fuck me up. Like, I don't want none of the smoke from those people.
Yeah. But like I said, it was really good. It was really interesting to see that other things are going on. Like, clearly, if I read the other comics, this situation might even appear in that other comic.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't, maybe it will. But, like, things are happening in the background. Doesn't really happen in other comic books. And I know I keep mentioning Marvel and DC, but they're the biggest ones, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, I could talk about Dark Horse, Image, or whatever, but who cares? Y'all don't.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. IDW. I think,
like, none of y'all care.
People only care about IDW because they publish Ninja Turtles they don't publish Transformers or G.I. Joe anymore.
Ninja Turtles?
But they were.
The Turtles?
They published the Ninja Turtles comics. So that's the
only reason. For that, by the way.
Yeah. By showing the shirt.
Yeah. Imagine?
Imagine, before we even finish the video, another person just somehow joins the call and says, yeah, this video is done. It's over.
I would be so I would never make another video again. If something like that happened, I would be like, it was a nice try.
Yeah, Marvel Comics in the beginning, like when they first started, which is something I think Eric is trying to replicate. Like, when they were in New York City, characters would often show up in other people's books, like, all the time. Or there'd be references to them because, like you said, they were in the same city. Like, it was like they were all shared the city, and Marvel did it on purpose. They were like, we want to make it like these heroes are outside your window, like they live in the same place. So they would have actual street corners and landmarks and stuff. I think Eric is trying to do the same thing, but his, I don't know if you could tell as we were reading, his world seems to be like it's like his story takes place in another world where things are like different or something. I mean, were you able to pick that up?
It definitely seemed like it wasn't like a 1-to-1 like United States city. It was like there's definitely something going on. Like powers are like existing. Like this isn't like this is the world just like yours except heroes exist. It was like there's something else. Even like because I enjoyed the book enough that I also read like the blurbs in the front and the back. I read them, and I usually don't read them because they're usually just like right. So I read them, and it seems like he has an idea for how he wants to run the business, and if it ever does get to the point where it is that long lasting thing, he's ready for it. But I personally couldn't tell you based off the one comic if it's gonna stay or not. Because like I said, I'm not on the forums or whatever, so I don't know who's talking about this or not.
Yeah.
I get little updates here and there from you about who hates this man, but I don't know who likes this man. Yeah. So I from the one comic, I could see myself being a fan. And if I'm a fan, I feel like there's definitely like a good chunk of people who would also be a fan because like I'm not some super special connoisseur, right? So
I mean, I think you're special, but like special ed.
Yeah. Anyway,
the classic.
It's like anytime you say special, you're just like what's coming. You know what's coming. It's like whatever.
So, would you like to read Isom 2?
I already ordered
it. you know how surprised I'd be? Like I ordered Isom 2 or Alpha Core. And you're like, and also, I got an advanced screening of Giant.
In fact, here's Eric July.
Eric July's like, oh, thank you, Raekwon, for becoming a fan of my company. He's like, there are other people who read my books, and they just don't have the same passion as you. He just keeps looking at me as he's saying that.
Eric July idea that he did. Cause look, man, how long have people been saying that shit? If you don't like it, do it yourself. This nigga did it himself.
Yeah.
He did it himself. Congratulations.
But that's the thing.
Whether you like it or not, he did it himself, bro.
That's like people say that, but they get so fucking mad when you break the rules. Like I was just watching.
What rules, nigga?
Well, that's the thing. They have these imagined rules, like the old guard, right? And like, if you start to deviate from the way things are supposed to be, like they don't even think about it, but then when they look and they're like, wait a minute, why isn't that guy doing the same thing as us? People start to get mad at you. I've had people get like fucking enraged at me for not wanting to do things or not living my life the way they claim or they believe you're supposed to live a life.
When you're doing something and someone's like, that's not how that works, it's like, says who, nigga? Bro, actually, it reminds me of a story where these people were just lined up, right? They were lined up waiting to be let into a venue. Not even a venue. Like, we're already inside the venue, but there was just like, they were setting something up upstairs. And it was time to go up there, right? So I see the line. I walk to the front. I was like, hey, who told you to stand here and wait? They say, no one. So I was like, oh, bet. And I walk inside. I just walk inside. And like there was some limited edition thing like being given out, right? So I walk inside. I get the limited edition thing. She runs up to me. She's like, you cheated. I was like, why the fuck were you standing in line, bro? Who told you to stand there?
To the victor goes the spoils.
Like you were just fucking monkey brain. Like, what, you gonna wait for someone to tell you that you could go? Like,
you're fucking
nincompoop. Literal sheep. So yeah, don't just don't be standing in line. Is what I'm saying.
That's a perfect way to wrap it up. Yeah, that encapsulates everything we've been talking about. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this. More coming. I'm gonna get more Normie reviews. I love when people do this shit. They point at the camera.
I'm not doing this shit again, bro.
More Normie reviews coming. I want to see. Maybe we should even get other Normies, like a real Normie, like fucking
some undoctored. Someone's like, I never read a comic book in my life,
and then get them to read this shit.
See, but then they would have no context, right? It'd be interesting.